The sky above the shattered valley burned with slow-moving auroras as the last light of the alien sun fell across broken stone and silent machines. No one expected the Titan to still be alive after the war that had torn the planet open and left cities like bones under sand. The Titan lay across the plain like a fallen mountain, its massive chest rising with painful effort while ancient energy leaked from glowing cracks along its skin. Human soldiers stood at a distance because every legend said the Titans erased worlds when angered, and even dying they were feared. She was not a soldier or a scientist or commander, but a quiet human woman sent to document ruins and count the dead. Her name mattered little to history, but her choice would become the axis on which an entire planet turned. She walked forward alone as alarms sounded behind her and voices begged her to stop. The ground shook with each step of the Titan's labored breathing, and the air tasted of metal and old power. As she reached the colossal hand that lay half buried in dust, she felt fear give way to something deeper and older than training. The Titan opened one vast eye filled with galaxies and storms, and looked at her without hatred or hope. Every weapon aimed at the Titan froze as the woman reached out and placed a small human hand against the burning alien skin. In that moment, the planet itself seemed to hold its breath as ancient laws written before stars felt something change. The Titan did not strike or roar, but instead its breathing slowed and the violent energy surging from its wounds softened. Images flooded her mind of Titans born to guard worlds, not conquer them, and of civilizations that had forgotten how to listen. She saw this Titan standing alone against weapons that tore reality and choosing not to destroy the attackers even as it fell. The Titan felt the touch of a species that was weak and brief, yet willing to approach death with open hands. Humanity, watching from afar, expected annihilation, but instead witnessed the impossible as the Titan's hand slowly closed around the woman, not crushing but shielding. A wave of energy rolled outward, healing cracked ground, calming storms, and reweaving broken skies. The Titan spoke not with sound but with meaning, and the humans understood without translation. It said that the touch was not an attack and not an order but a promise. Human leaders argued and feared betrayal, but the evidence lay before them in living stone and light. The Titan was dying not from wounds alone, but from centuries of isolation and purpose forgotten. Humanity made a choice that defied every doctrine of expansion and control. They lowered their weapons, dismantled orbiting cannons, and opened medical ships not to capture but to help. Engineers worked beside xenobiologists, guided by the Titan's own memories shared freely. Cities halted construction and redirected power grids to stabilize the planet's core damaged during the war. The act of care echoed through Titan networks long silent, and others across the stars felt it like a distant song. Where humans once extracted resources, they now restored oceans and seeded forests guided by alien knowledge older than Earth. The dying Titan survived long enough to stand once more, reshaping mountains to seal planetary wounds. It declared the planet a sanctuary not owned but shared, and bound its fate to humanity. Other species watching expected exploitation, but instead saw restraint and humility. Trade routes shifted not toward conquest but cooperation, as humans refused dominion over the Titan's world. The woman who touched the Titan returned to anonymity, refusing titles and power. Children of many species would later walk beneath skies healed by that moment and learn that strength could kneel. The planet changed not because a Titan was saved, but because humanity chose to be more than feared survivors. History would remember that when a human touched the dying god, the universe leaned closer and learned something new. The stars did not burn brighter that day, yet they felt closer as if distance itself had softened. On that world, monuments were never built to celebrate victory, only quiet gardens where Titans sometimes rested. And in those gardens, humans remembered that the smallest act of courage could outweigh the force of empires years past on the sanctuary world, and the memory of war faded into stories told beside restored rivers and glowing stone paths. The Titan, now healed but forever changed, walked slowly across the land, reshaping valleys not for defense but for life. Human settlements remained small by choice, woven between alien forests instead of replacing them. The woman returned many times not as a hero, but as a listener sitting at the Titan's side as it watched new suns rise. The Titans shared memories of other worlds that had fallen because power was taken instead of shared. Human leaders learned patience as a Titan taught them how planets breathe and how time can heal if given space. Children born on the world grew up hearing the Titan's voice in the wind and feeling its calm presence beneath the ground. They learned that strength was measured by protection, not domination. Other Titans awakened across distant systems, sensing the shift and traveling slowly toward the sanctuary. Where they walked, dead moons bloomed and fractured atmospheres settled into gentle cycles. Humanity refused to claim these miracles as achievements and instead recorded them as responsibilities. The galaxy watched with suspicion, waiting for the old patterns of greed to return. But fleets once built for war became convoys of aid carrying tools, seeds, and knowledge. The sanctuary world became a place where conflicts were brought not to be judged but to be understood. Species long at war stood before the Titan and the human together and found their anger quieted by the presence of something ancient and calm. The Titan said little, but its silence carried weight, reminding all who stood there how fragile existence truly was. When disaster struck elsewhere, humans and Titans answered together not as rulers but as guardians. The bond between flesh and stone, between brief lives and eternal ones, reshaped the idea of alliance itself. The woman aged as all humans do, her hair turning silver, while the Titan remained unchanged yet deeply attentive. On her final visit, she placed her hand once more against the Titan's skin, feeling the same warmth as before. This time the Titan bowed its massive head in a gesture no one had taught it. After she passed, her name was spoken softly among many species, not as a legend but as a reminder. The sanctuary world continued to thrive, its skies clear, its oceans deep and balanced. Long after humanity spread beyond its original stars, the story endured not as myth but as recorded truth. That once a human touched a dying Titan and chose care over conquest. And because of that choice, an entire planet lived. And because that planet lived, the galaxy learned a different way to survive.